I think it comes down just stay flexible, stay nimble, be able to adapt quickly. Um,
Yeah.
Still, he who can pump out the most ads and really find those new angles is going to win.
Hello and welcome to All Killer No Filler. This is our seventh episode. We're a little light today. We may have our fourth join us anytime now. He's in an interesting position, having just had his first child. Big shout out to Andrew Stern.
This is
Yeah, welcome guys. How you doing?
Good, man. Andrew's actually on a client call right now, so it's not just baby stuff. He's actually hustling hard right now. He's fired up since he's been back.
Yeah, that's true. Awesome. Well, why don't we start with what you're seeing on your side of things there, Jeff, with explainer videos?
Yeah, we've been, obviously we're always testing new creative with clients. Something we've been seeing pretty good success with to the tune of, I think on one client, like a 50% drop in cost per acquisition has been explainer videos. So there's a bunch of different ways you can do explainer videos. The style that we're doing right now is basically, walking the viewer through how to use the product. But we're very much doing it from a point of view of the person. So it's like as if there's a GoPro on your forehead looking down and all you see is the hands kind of going and doing their thing and talking through it. It's been crushing. So we're testing that on a few new clients coming up this week, I think, Kyle, right? And we'll see how those goes.
for sure.
That's awesome. We just get an employee to do that.
What's that?
This is just DIY. We get an employee to do it.
DIY, man. Get it in there.
Employees are clients too. It obviously, depends what country you're working in. We work with clients in a few different places, so you need to localize it. But you just give them the template and away they go. But it's really like a first person shooter. It looks just like that, whether it's a box or another product. It's actually pretty cool. Maybe we could share something.
Yeah, big tip on there too. Use the Facebook. What's the word I'm thinking of? Subtitles. Use the subtitles on that.
They've really improved, I think. In just the past year, I used to post videos with subtitles and they would be just totally garbage, but now they're almost perfect.
Mm-hmm.
We also use a tool called, I think it's called Capwing, where it actually digests the audio pretty well. And then you go through like you would with Facebook or YouTube and then take that video, plug it in. It's quite easy.
Nice. Cool. So test out some DIY first person perspective explainer videos on your campaigns. Let us know how they do. What else? What's going on with Listicles, Jeff?
Similar thing. Like we have a lot of clients. We run at pretty massive scale, and I think we've talked about this in other podcasts where we build secondary properties and that kind of thing. Another way to do it, if you're starting to get crazy saturation, super high frequencies, with the standard, like, here's my product, here's all the benefits, here's what it's going to solve for you. Go and like sell this product. That works great, obviously, but we need to expand sometimes into other ways to get customers in the front door. And what we've been experimenting with for a long time actually has been listicles. So basically you find out what your customers like. So, if you have a product that saves them money, or if you have products that, it's a cool gadget that people like, you might make a listicle that says, okay, 5 top gadgets that your husband's going to love. And the wife comes in, she reads it, she sees all the 5, maybe yours is the only one that actually has the link out to the product. But you basically, like, it drops your click cost down to basically nothing. The quality is way less qualified, but you get a totally different type of user in. So it's kind of like moving the ad down the funnel a little bit more. So you kind of get them in initially, and then you still have to advertise to them in that listicle for what your product is, but you bring in a totally different type of user.
We just launched a health product, and it's like 7 healthy lifestyle tips, right? You've all seen this, and you all know what a listicle is. And Jeff, I think you kind of nailed it on the head there in terms of quality. You definitely get a different audience. It's a lot more clicky. It's a lot more experimental. So you need to make sure you're doing a couple things, separate it from your existing campaigns so that you're not diluting the pixel data, but also don't still make sure that you're using the right purchase event, because otherwise your data is going to skew in a big way. So you need to separate that out and segment it, because the clicks are typically way cheaper. It's just about balancing your ROAS, obviously.
Kyle, we've on some clients, we split that into separate accounts, totally different accounts, because we've seen trying to launch if we run a listicle first with really high click-through rate, really low click costs, you can't really bring it back, or it takes a long time to bring it back if you kind of switch all your campaigns to like a product sales focus.
Yeah.
Do you guys run different accounts for that kind of stuff as well?
Yeah, if we're running like listicles hard, like super hard, there's a whole bunch of other quality concerns. There's ad account metrics that need to be considered. Facebook typically doesn't like listicles. However, if you're doing it off of your blog as like a core kind of experience of your product, it's okay, as long as the majority of your spend is going into your main product benefit type ads, UGC, etc. But if you're going hard on listicles, you're going to want to do a different ad account because it's going to be different compliance concerns.
I was talking with a client who was saying that their ad buyer didn't want to go very broad with their audience targeting until they had like a really winning ad. And I was trying to say what you said there, Jeff, where these listicles and all this pre-sales content, it sort of moves the targeting down the funnel a little bit. It allows you to go for a much broader audience to start. And then the content that you actually use is what separates the buyers from not. So it's just like you say, it just sort of moves it down the funnel more.
Yeah, and eventually, I mean, you're gonna burn if you're a super targeted, product, like you are men between the ages of 18 to 22 in the southern states, like you're gonna burn through that audience, right? And eventually, you're gonna have to figure out how to expand into the other, the rest of the world, really. So this is one way to kind of just like open wide the top of the funnel to bring more people in and kind of let Facebook do the work.
Nice. Okay, so yesterday I interviewed John Hagen from Purelay, and that was on Tuesday this week, and we've just released it just now. But it was just a really incredible masterclass on dark posts. So I know our internal buyers call it white labeling. He calls it dark posts, but this is just essentially when you run budget through an influencer's account in order to regulate the impressions and make sure that your audiences sort of get hit with these influencer posts that you're making. Well, the big news for us was that this guy on a slow week does 40 influencer collabs, pushing up to 90 to 100 on some days. And just to be able to orient your team around producing dark posts at that scale really kind of blew our mind, I think.
I think he said he had a 10-person team dedicated to it. Was that right?
Yeah. I think it was 5 or 10. I think he had a content team and he had another team that actually does the relationships. Maybe they were 5 apiece. I think 10 total.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we should just quickly touch on what that actually is, Eric.
Go for it.
Yeah, so it's where you basically manage an ad through their business manager, directing product into your their message and ads into your product, and so it's a hidden post, but you have control of the actual ad account and how those dollars are spent.
For sure.
That's I mean, just going back to the listicle conversation again, it's a great way to hit another audience that you might not be getting with your brand, or that is burned out from seeing your brand. If they see brand X every single day, eventually they're going to kind of get that banner blindness. So going to an influencer account and showing them the same ads to an influencer is a great way to expand that reach again.
We find that like you get through that influencer audience quite quickly because 100,000 likes, it really comes down to how expensive an influencer is. Like someone with 10 million likes is going to cost you way too much money for a test anyways. But if you're getting down into like the 10,000 followers, 50,000 followers, you're going to run out of their audience pretty quick. And so we do a really good job using them as kind of middle funnel, bottom funnel retargeting strategies, just to support the existing prospecting stuff. And then we use that as fodder to get people to convert because other people are using it.
Totally.
So we've been a bit of a canary in the coal mine talking about the falling costs of Facebook ads, the go time, a lot of agencies, a lot of e-commerce brands are having a lot of success right now. But this week we got a bit of a heads up from our Facebook rep telling us what?
The competition's increasing, as is to be expected, right? I mean, everyone freaks out as soon as COVID hit. A lot of brand budgets paused. I think people are starting to get confident again and starting to spend. I would imagine, my prediction is that we're going to see yo-yoing kind of just over the year as outbreaks happen, the economy goes up and down, job numbers come out. It's going to just be all over the place.
I think also, it's important to remember that brands are coming back in. And I'm seeing a lot of people being like, oh, the brands are back. But, to be fair, there's still way more inventory than there was. So my fear, more so than brands participating, is that everyone goes back to work and all the inventory disappears straight up because you can see people coming in and encroaching on your territory or whatever. you can still maintain some ROAS, right? Like you can still, it's not like it was a month ago for sure. But as soon as everyone, like that date where it's like back to work, it's going to go, like it's going to break. And I think the floor is going to increase in a big way, which is scary.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. Hard to predict.
That is, like, there's so many big factors going on. I remember the debate that was happening a month, right as this started, between Taylor Holiday and Joe Rosa. I don't know if you saw that. They were having a bit of an online feud about whether or not this economy was going to bottom out and purchase behavior was going to drop. Whereas that's what Joe was saying. Whereas Taylor was saying just this massive trend into e-commerce is going to make up for a lot of these issues. I think the issue you bring up there, Kyle, with inventory drying up as fewer people are, scrolling through social in the middle of the day. Yeah. There's so many big factors at play. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens.
And like looking at the stock markets, right? Like that dictates the buyer behavior, or at least it's so out of whack from reality right now. I don't know if that's interest rates or what, but like you look at like Home Depot, right? Their sales went up 50%. Their stock shot up. There's a bunch of companies like this. It's going to have to calibrate, and typically like those yo-yos will correspond with your inventory or your CPMs on traffic sources also. Yeah.
I think it comes down just stay flexible, stay nimble, be able to adapt quickly. Still, he who can pump out the most ads and really find those new angles is going to win, no matter what market you're in.
Speaking of stock valuation, this was something that we were talking a little bit about. My wife and I bought in with Shopify a little while ago. Been riding the wave, we've been hodling our Shopify stock as it plummeted, and it has been skyrocketing lately. But we took a little gut check on like where it's at versus Amazon. And I think that's a really interesting litmus test to look at. It's like in the market, you have a Coke, which is Amazon. It's like automatically Shopify, which is sort of the alternative, becomes to be looked at Pepsi, even though its revenue is still staggeringly less.
Yeah, it's nuts. I mean, I think, sorry, Kyle, you're going to say something.
No.
All good. Like what is it? Like, hold on, I'm looking up right now. Shopify, 1.58 billion USD, Amazon 280 billion USD, but the market cap is about the 10th of what Amazon is.
Yeah, so it's 0.5% of revenue, but it's a full 10% of its market cap.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, yeah.
Shopify has always been one of those like kind of hype things, I think, in my opinion. I mean, I love it. It feeds our ecosystem. It's a fantastic product. There's great auxiliary services being built around it. It's easy plug and play.
It's Canada. It's our
biggest company now. It's
our biggest company in Canada now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the new RIM, right?
Oil. That's bigger than our banks. Come on.
Bigger than banking.
But look what happened with RIM. That went well, right?
It just exceeded Bank of Montreal as the biggest company in Canada.
RIM is crazy, by the way.
Well, say that again, Kyle?
RIM is BlackBerry, just for those people who don't
know.
Oh,
yeah, I guess they're not Canadian.
They would
BlackBerry.
know.
Those were the days.
Blackberries.
My old 8830, I used to love that thing.
The gap in Shopify for me is like, okay, if people that like, if the inventory dries up, so just correlating it right back to what we were just talking about, if that becomes more difficult again, then Shopify is instantly going to have less revenue because people that are launching these stores aren't going to be able to do anything with them. Like that's my thought. And so when that calibrates back, it's just going to, like the revenue is just going to die out because they won't have the expertise to make the stores work.
I don't know if I totally agree with that. I mean, I think don't get me wrong. I think the Shopify. Well, I think the Shopify valuation is crazy. Like it just is, right? In the same way that Tesla's valuation is crazy. Like it's all based on like, what could Shopify be 20 years down the road? And that's okay. Like I get it, but it's like, again, if you take it back to what we do for a living, we drive profit, right? So like it's a very different thing where they drive hopes and dreams for down in the future or up in the future. But I think there will be long-lasting shifts, and I don't think it's just based on Facebook inventory, right? I mean, I think that's a huge part of it in terms of driving sales, but I shouldn't say Facebook ad inventory, but I think like we are going to see this shift, and this has accelerated that shift to e-commerce, irrespective of inventory online. People are finding stuff. My uncle, he didn't go through an ad. He bought printer ink. I think I talked about that before. He's 72 or something. He bought printer ink. And online, he's like, man, it was so easy. I didn't have to walk down to Staples. And it was just like, he's going to start buying printer ink online, right?
Yeah.
And that's, that times billions of people is pretty crazy.
What does he even print?
I have no idea. No idea.
Who prints things? I guess 72-year-olds do. Yeah, looking at Tesla, it's GM is 18 times the revenue of Tesla, but like 5 times less market cap, and that just shows people's future pacing when it comes to
their trajectory. I mean, let's not get into too much stock talk.
Yeah.
Let's get into real estate.
Let's talk about real estate. Okay. Yeah, let's talk about real estate for a sec. So, obviously it's funny. We went into lockdown at Pilot House, a 19-person team or
back then. Yeah.
And now
way back then,
and now we're a 26-person team as of yesterday, 27.
Yeah.
And so I was just like having a gut check with CEO Dave Steele, who couldn't make it today. And I was like, are we going to fit in our office anymore? And he's been looking at this, and he started looking at this idea of potentially buying some real estate to make a more permanent Pilot House home. And because of this idea that maybe there's going to be depressed commercial real estate prices coming soon. But he got some really good advice, which I thought was worth mentioning on the cast here, which was, the benefit that you have by owning that real estate that your office might be in is like, the money that you sink into that could probably be put in other parts of your business that are actually core to your business rather than the real estate, to actually grow the value of your business more than owning the property will. And especially if you can pay more per month to get a baller office that maybe has a really great podcast studio or something that's, that's the value that will drive the value in your business more than just owning a piece of property.
Yeah. Yes. I think that it depends, right? I mean, depending on where you live in Canada, we won't talk too much about this, but there's some pretty amazing commercial lending programs, right? So if you own a business, and I'm sure this exists in the States too, if you're looking to purchase a building, they'll finance a massive amount of it. There's groups that will finance a massive amount of like public, like government funded groups, right? So for us, if we can put a few percent down to buy a building, where our cash outlay to do that is actually not that crazy, then, hey, go buddy.
2 minutes left and
2 minutes left and Andrew shows up.
Yeah, nicely done, pal.
Welcome back to Filler Andrew.
But look, Eric, I get that. But the thing I see is that it's just another investment opportunity. And yes, it's not necessarily totally aligned with your business, but if you're buying in the right market, if you're buying depressed real estate, there is an opportunity to grow there. Like I've got a buddy, he bought a building for 1.5, I don't know, 7-8 years ago here, and it's worth 6 now. I mean, at least it was before COVID. We'll see if it continues. So right there, you're adding an extra $700,000 a year to your net bottom line. So if you can leverage that and work and get someone else's money to work for that, why not?
I think
especially if the real estate actually works for you and your team.
Yeah, exactly. If you're gonna spend $10,000 a month on a mortgage versus $10,000 a month in rent, and you didn't have to put down a shit ton of capital to do that, 100%, I'm gonna take mortgage every day.
Very interesting. Okay, well, we just got Andrew to show up. Welcome, Andrew. It's so great to have you back in the group here. I know you're on an intense client meeting there. What are just after having come back? I totally just the secret is out. I told everyone that you're now a father. So congratulations on that.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, no, appreciate it. Good to be back. I'm sure you can tell by my tired eyes and the fact that I'm outside here. I've been kicked out of my house.
What are some of your observations? We have a minute left here. What have been some of your observations in coming back to the team?
That's a big question.
Just one, your top.
Yeah. Observations. I mean, things are rolling, which is great. It's nice to have such a dependable, strong team. Where you can literally disappear off the face of the earth and pop back in, and things are still growing and stable, and happy about that. In terms of observations, I think we used it, or I used it as a chance to kind of reset and connect with the team and understand where we're at with each client, and make sure that the methods that drive success are being used, and a big part of that, a big part of the theme and focus for this week has been communication and proactiveness, proactivity here. So basically just creating a buzz in channels, creating a buzz with clients so they don't just look at us as, you know, service providers, but look at us as team members and internal to their team. So, you know, we do that well, and whenever we stray from that, it doesn't really, you know, see the results that we want to see. But the team's rocking right now, so really happy to see that. So I don't know if that's what you're looking for, but that's what I got.
That's pretty good.
Pat Stern, good to have you, buddy.
I got to jet, guys. I'm late for a call.
Yeah, that's a great note to end on. Thanks, guys. Enjoy your weekend. We'll release this on Saturday. And yeah, let us know if you have any questions. And as always, yeah, keep it all killer, no filler.